We have real problems. You don't need me to tell you that. But both sides would rather cherry pick issues to distract and divide you. And you need to see the game. That's part of the job here at NewsNation. That's Hegseth and Signal. It's Garcia. It's both sides. It's the media. Why? Because it's working better for them than dealing with the tough stuff. Our president would rather attack the Supreme Court than discuss the reality that tariffs, at this point, by the markets, are judged as too limited a solution to balancing the benefits of trade, and that the way he did it was still, at the same time, too much for the markets. So now we're on this roller coaster of our president's own making. Where does it go? I don't know. We'll talk to somebody who's got a much better head on that tonight. But here's what I do know. The Dow is on track for having its worst April performance since 1932, which, as you know, was in the middle of the Great Depression. All right? It's a distraction to talk about these other things. It's easier than talking about that. It's easier to distract you than to talk about how the IMF announced that Trump's tariffs may cause a major negative shock, and they adjusted the growth forecast from 2.7 to 1.8. Who knows if they're right, but you'd rather talk about Garcia than talk about that, wouldn't you? If you're Trump, of course. They want to distract you from the fact that confidence in the economy is plunging, and that matters as much or more than any phony metric. Why? Because part of the job is to get the American people on board. And when you look at a metric that sizes us up at where we were with the Great Recession, you got to do better than that. How? I don't know. I didn't ask for your vote. But I know that we're distracting ourselves from these tough questions with other things. That's the reality. So my question to Trump and to the Democratic leaders is, why don't you, if you want power, why don't you use it to obsess on the fix? Why don't you obsess on telling me what your plan is to require corporations to give as good a deal as they get from the largest consumer market in the world, America? Too hard. Why debate any of that when you can fight over anonymous sources and signal chats? Democrats want to say it matters how you communicate. Then they send their own terrible message themselves, going to El Salvador for a guy whose wife claimed he punched her in the face. But you don't go to East Palestine. The high ground is that due process matters no matter who the lousy guy is getting it. That's why justice is blind, right? Instead, Democrats seem determined to have people believe they want America flooded with the worst available. Why make it about him and not the principle? I don't get it. Trump should be on his heels for wantonly violating the Constitution in the form of the Supreme Court. Instead, he sounds more reasonable to many because of how the Democrats are playing it as George Floyd Part 2. Don't champion the bad guy. Champion the good principle that transcends the bad guy. That's where the majority is. And none of these distractions is difficult to settle, not in my opinion. Supreme Court ruled 9-0. They're not in any hurry to go against Trump, the guys that he picked. But they did. Why? Trump needs to give Garcia a hearing. Due process demands it. There was an order in place. And then show that Garcia is the bad hombre that you say he is, and then you can legally deport him. How you do things in America matters, even with the worst of us. I get Trump doesn't like it. That's why so many call him dangerous, because he does things that create what they see as a danger. I don't think we're in a crisis, but I get why they're going to exaggerate what he's doing, because he's putting them in that position. The allegations against the defense secretary, Hegseth, again, stupidly sharing war plans on a signal chat. Simple. All he has to do is say this: I didn't do it. Talk to my lawyer. Ask them. They were on the chat. We never did it. He can't do that. And no one in Trump land is going to own a mistake when the other side will kill them for it. So when attacked, what do? Attack. Hegseth is blaming the media for exposing what he actually did again. And he wants to go after the anonymous sources now. I love this. I saw anonymous sources, very bad. Never believe them, except they say what you want. And then they're good. And then everybody uses them. So the guy in charge of half the discretionary spending in our budget, notice how DOGE hasn't touched that yet, by the way? Instead of talking about what he's going to do with that, he's saying this.
I want this to be very clear. We take the classification of information very important. It's very significant to us that we safeguard it. And so when we had leaks, which we have had here, we did a serious leak investigation. And through that leak investigation, unfortunately, we found some folks that we believe we're not holding to the protocols that we hold dear here at the Defense Department. When that evidence is gathered sufficiently, and this has all happened very quickly, it will be handed over to DOJ, and those people will be prosecuted if necessary.
If you could see what was just going on in the studio a second ago, it'd be the most entertaining part of the show. I've never had anybody tell me I have to put more weight on a seat before, until right here at NewsNation. 230 pounds wasn't enough. All right, so why did Hegseth go to Fox? All right, I'm not out to get him, okay? I want him to succeed in his job because I'm American. But I know why he went to Fox. They're the home team, right? No other media outlet that respects itself would avoid asking him if he did what he is accused of, okay? And confronting him with the fact that he is the leaker in this situation, no one else. And no mention of the new report that a top general sent the attack plans on a secure network to Hegseth, and then he turned around and shared it on his personal phone. Fox isn't going to go there, and the other side won't go away. And all of it is for the same reason. It's easy and it plays to advantage. Again, full disclosure, I don't go for gotchas. I don't think Homeland Security Secretary Noem having her bag stolen at a restaurant means she can't keep us safe. I don't really care about the Signal Chat story. Why? Was the operation compromised? No. Did anybody get their hands on information that they can now use against us to hurt our fighting men and women? No. Why not? Oh, Hegseth got lucky. Okay. But still, that's where it is, and he's doing what Trump wants him to do. Okay? Now, if he makes another poor judgment, and it is not what Trump wants him to be doing, then he's going to have a problem. He talks about Trump on Signal, and it comes out, he'll have a problem. But you know who doesn't agree with me? This light treatment of what Hegseth does, who thinks that what Hegseth did is actually a death sentence for him. Hegseth. Because when Hillary Clinton shared classified information on her personal email server, even though nothing got into the wrong hands, he said this.
People have gone to jail for 1/100th of what, even 1/1000th of what Hillary Clinton did. Any security professional, military, government, or otherwise, would be fired on the spot for this type of conduct and criminally prosecuted for being so reckless with this kind of information.
Didn't age well. But to me, yeah, okay, he's a hypocrite. Welcome to politics. Again, what is your bar for satisfaction? I don't play the gotcha game because you never get out of it. But they know it's a game. And that's why they had one of their MAGA minions come to what's supposed to be a serious briefing for the American people and say this.
Many of the news organizations that are represented in this room have marched in lockstep on false narratives, such as the Very Fine People hoax, the Covington smear, and now what's being called the Maryland Man hoax, where an MS-13 gang member adjudicated by two different judges, I believe, is just simply being referred to as a Maryland Man over and over again.
This guy's a chooch, and I don't know why he's got a ski hat on. Was he cold or you just bald? Either way, what do you mean, you two judges you believe? There's a standing federal order. It's called a withholding of deportation. President Reagan made it part of our law in 1980, okay, to comport our domestic law with a refugee international treaty that we signed on to, okay? That's the legal disposition. I get it. It's not what he does, but why would you have him there? If you can't make the case to the American people, you really think this pod guy with a ski hat is going to get you to the majority? No, you're just going to help him build his base. Good for him. That's America. That's entrepreneurship. But the guy's a joke, and you make your argument a joke when you put him out there. Now, one side wants a scalp, right? Show Trump sucks. The other side just wants to keep their side given a pass every time. What's the solution? Stop giving them the attention. Where are the problem solvers? Where are the ideas in the media for what could be done? That's what I'm going to do right now, all right? We got real problems. What should we do? Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.